Here's another Mike from Virginia. This is Mike Allen from Politico.com, who is a guest on our webcast tonight. Of course, Mike writes Playbook every single day, Saturday and Sunday. I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I turn on my BlackBerry, put on my reading glasses, and read Mike Allen. I need to...
You don't want to know the first thing I do.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think I do know the first thing you do in the morning and in the middle of the night, being of a certain age. Anyway, hi, Mike. How are you?
Katie.
Nice to see you. Welcome.
Fantastic. Thanks
for
having
having
me
me
in.
So what are you going to be writing in Playbook tomorrow morning? What have you found out about reaction? It's probably a little hard because you made your way over here, but what did you think?
Yeah, no, the most honest email that I've gotten tonight was from a diehard Republican who said John McCain has his work cut out for him. Two big things that were done here. First, the Obamans realized that some Democrats are tired. 19-month-long campaign. So for them, it was this amazing show where you had people here chanting USA, USA, as if it were the Olympics. But for people at home, you know, the winner of this election probably will be the person who wins the race to tell people who Barack Obama is. And tonight, when you heard him talking about his mom using food stamps, his grandma putting off buying a dress in order so that he could go to school, that's the kind of thing that people can relate to.
That kind of negates the Columbia Harvard Law School pedigree, right?
Well, or at least it makes it harder for Republicans to caricature him in the way that they want to and that they are. And you were talking about the cost of things, and sure, there's a lot of over-promising here, but Jeff, disagree with me. You don't often get punished for over-promising. And Republicans are worried about the fact that by many measures, Barack Obama is cutting middle-class taxes more than John McCain is, because John McCain's numbers add up, and they're a little concerned about that. But
you're absolutely right. That is, as you say that, I could picture that if Obama takes that couple $100 million that he has and spends it wisely, more than any other single issue, if they can drive home the fact that Barack Obama will cut middle-class taxes more than John McCain, that is a huge
He
victory.
really emphasized that word cut.
Cut taxes.
Cut, because I think he has been portrayed, he's going to raise your taxes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what everybody, many people think.
he is going to raise Jeff's taxes. But
But not Katie's.
But I mean, every time John McCain makes a speech, he's going to say, he's going to raise your taxes and I'm going to cut your taxes. And that was what that was about tonight.
Right.
And that's why it was important to say that.
We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, so can we change the subject and talk about tomorrow, which is John McCain's VP choice? Okay, Mike. What do you think? I know you thought you misreported something. You said that the McCain campaign was going to give it to the AP tonight. Didn't you say that?
very late tonight.
Yeah. Do you think that's still true?
I do.
You do?
I
You stand
do.
by your reporting?
I do.
Okay, why are they doing that? Why not wait till the morning?
Yeah, they may wait till the morning, but the point is that they put out
Now you're saying you don't stand by your story.
very late at night.
Mike Wallace lives.
Well, what they said, Mike, and I mean, I got a little email just a while ago that they would not let it out. They would not leak it before he made the speech. And the person who contacted me said, John McCain wants Barack Obama to have his moment. And when the leak comes, and I'm like you, I think it's going to come later and later and later. But they were not going to do it before he spoke.
But
go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, but I was just going to say, but they put out the idea that it was coming to distract from the attention today.
Sure.
That's why they had the Times earlier, was to sort of get in the heads of the Obamans, and you had the Obama campaign coming out and saying it would be political malpractice to do it earlier.
They were kind of messing with us, weren't they? But
Absolutely.
What do you think? Who do you think is going to be tapped?
No idea, but the two big choices are: do you go with someone safe, that's Tim Pawlenty of Minnesota, or Mitt Romney of Massachusetts, or do you throw the long ball? Do you think, it's going to be tough for a Republican to win in a 50-50 nation without a lot of Republican votes at a time when it's not good to be a Republican? Maybe we need to mix things up. Are we going to do a woman? Are we going to do
Joe Lieberman?
Senator McCain, and disagree with me if you do, Senator McCain would love to pick Senator Lieberman. He had this amazing, nasty interview with Time Magazine that you guys saw, where Jay Carney of Time, who's known forever, Jay looked at him and said, "Do I know you?" Because he was so sour. The next day, Jonathan Martin of Politico and I did an interview with him. He was in such a foul mood.
Is this when you asked him about his houses?
It was.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Mike Allen, we should mention, asked John McCain if he knew how many houses. You created quite a stir.
Okay, but before we do that, he was in such a bad mood because he, I think, knew or suspected or was being told that he couldn't pick who he wanted.
Don't you think?
And that's not John McCain.
Don't you think it's also that he's been under this incredible discipline? He, ever since Steve Schmidt came to the campaign, this freewheeling guy who loved to sit in the back of a bus, everything on the record. Now he's looking at cards because they want him to be on his talking points. They think the polls are closing, but it's not who John McCain is.
Yeah, I call him McCain in chains. And you know he's miserable. He said to the reporters after he clinches his nomination, I will never be that guy that's in the front of the plane behind the curtain. And sure enough, that's exactly where he is.
And who do you think is responsible? Do you think Steve Schmidt is doing that? His
Well, it's
campaign?
probably smart, right? But
I mean, it seems to be working, right?
But you know what? I'm sorry, Bob. It's working. Who knows? These polls are written sand. But one thing I believe, after looking at this business for a long time, an unhappy warrior doesn't win an election. If you campaign and you're not comfortable in your own skin, you have 50 pounds of handicap right on your shoulders.
Amen. And that is pouring out of John McCain, how unhappy he is.
May I ask you a question, just as a reporter? What prompted you to ask that question? How many houses do you own?
It had come up in a couple of comments that Democrats had made. David Axelrod on Somebody's Air had said that John McCain might have thought about this when he was on the porch of one of his 7 houses. And I think that McCain was thinking of it overly technically. I think he was thinking of it as a question about parcels of real estate.
Right.
When in fact we think of a house as a place where we sleep, right? He lives in Sedona. He lives in Crystal City. He maybe sometimes goes to Phoenix. But he was thinking of it in an overly technical way. And he did not want to be there. He was annoyed about the Veep stuff. He warmed up a little bit when he found out we were going to ask him about other things. But at first, he's known John, Martin, and I forever. And when we started out, he wouldn't even look at us. He was doing the passive-aggressive thing of, looking here when I'm talking to you. It was exactly what he did with the Time Boys.
Wow.
Interesting. I like Mitt Romney's answer when he was asked that question, how many houses? He said 1 fewer than John Kerry.
By the way, it's 4, so if he's the guy, look for the totals to be part of the story.
Katie, should we bring, since this is a webcast, this rather interesting flashback to the John Edwards story that I mentioned?
Go for it.
In acceptance speeches, you're always supposed to list all the people who ran against you and praise you. My good friend, and the courageous Dennis Kucinich, and Mike Gravel.
Right.
Well,
cheap grace.
Well, guess what didn't happen tonight and why? The only opponent he mentioned was Hillary Clinton. And my guess is if he had to list all the other candidates he ran against, he either had to mention John Edwards or conspicuously leave him out.
Or he could have just said, and John Edwards.
Yes, he could have. I mean, I think it was I realized this is not the defining moment of the campaign, but as a retired speechwriter, I thought, that's interesting. And then, of course, the reason's obvious. You don't want anybody to think about John Edwards on a
Well, I think if he had mentioned John Edwards, someone would suggest that he be committed. I think it's
yes.
I think it's pretty clear why he did.
Oh, yes.
Can I don't know if we have time. Can I ask 2 more web questions, Rick? Or do we have to, 1 more web question? Oh, gosh. Okay. Somebody asks about the staging, but I'm not going to waste my... Not that that's not a good question, Sarah from Riverdale, about the staging. Who put it together? I don't know. But I know Davis Guggenheim, who produced Inconvenient Truth, did the documentary before Brock came on stage. That's kind of interesting. John from Youngstown, Ohio asks, do you think that more Senator Clinton supporters have come over to Senator Obama after tonight, in addition to those who claim to be supporting Senator McCain? And he says, I know I have. How's it going on that front? Anyone care to weigh in?
One.
Yeah, there you go. Well, John from Youngstown has come over. He's crossed over.
The Clinton voters clearly were drawn to her very specific economic programs. The whole idea behind their support for her was this is a bright young man, but she's got answers. I think those voters, Democrats who wanted to hear economic answers, they had a lot to like about the speech.
I think they did get a lot of but we'll find out. I mean, there's no way we can know.
I thought Michelle Obama was really graceful today when I talked to her. She said, if I had my candidate hadn't won, I'd have hard feelings. It just takes some time to heal. And I think part of it is time, and just kind of settling into this new reality. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, you really start to look like the dead enders, the bitter enders, they call them. But even more surprisingly, I bet he won over John McCain voters tonight. You know, you're finishing with Brooks and Dunn. When was the last time that Jesus got a shout out at a political convention? And
at a Democratic political convention.
And he gave middle of the road voters, Republicans who, for whatever reason, don't like John McCain, he gave them the chance to like him when he was talking about paying for things, accountability. That's big with voters in focus groups right now. And a great moment when he said, listen now, when he went into how he was going to pay for things. And I bet that really connected with people. Came out with a sort of soft, understated lighting music at the end. You had him with the kids. You saw him picking confetti off his kids. I can see a lot of people relating to that, who would have been very skeptical of this exotic name, this exotic biography.
All right, Rick Kaplan is saying to me, say goodnight, Gracie. So I guess that means we have to close things. And I have so much fun just talking to you guys. Maybe we can stick around and chew on this stuff a little bit more.
Actually,
Rick Kaplan is going like this, and he's 6'6", and he's walking my way. So anyway, okay. He's going to take my mic. Go away. Go away. Jeff Greenfield, Bob Schieffer, Mike Allen, thank you so much for coming by.
Good night, Kitty from Virginia.
Being part of our, Mike from Virginia, being part of our webcast.